Hello there. Before I come to the issue today, I need to refresh your memory in case you forgot. An experience I had back in 1983. I reported about that before. On a hot Thursday afternoon in June of 1983, I decided to drive home from my office in Winter Park, Florida early. It was so hot that the two air conditioners of my Ford van could not handle it and gave up, leaving me sweating in about 120 degrees. I had just sold the contract, and while driving the back roads home was fully occupied to calculate how much we could make in profit on it. About 100 yards before the bridge over the St. John's River, a voice, as clear as you can imagine, told me, "Bring A2," followed by an optical picture of a map that seemed to be Switzerland. Now A is one of my daughters. In 1986, I finally went to Switzerland to raise funds for medical research, without success. The Swiss are not into funding medical progress. They wait until others do it, then use the progress for their own. After my Swiss fiasco, I ended up in Munich and had my family follow, including my daughter, which resulted in a grandson born in Germany. Now, back to the voice that spoke to me. The voice was not that of an old man, as the church pictures God, but rather gender neutral, even more female. You remember that I said it was so hot that the two air conditioners in my car couldn't handle it? That brings up another observation. Most of the major religions are based upon voices heard by people who lived in super hot climates. Interesting, isn't it? Does heat increase the reception capability of our brain cells? Of course, there is another explanation, brought to you courtesy of Dr. Michio Kaku. I'm not quite sure I pronounce this properly. The string physicist who claims that there are multiple parallel universes. Maybe some cute girl from another universe tried to hit on me. But I'm digressing. What I wanted to bring to your attention is Iran's Ayatollah Khomenei's plan to stone the mother of two children to death because she is alleged to have had an affair with another man. I'm not kidding. Her confession is said to have been obtained by torture. Isn't that something new? You are familiar with the Ayatollah, the one who came to power in Iran because Jimmy Carter didn't want to support the Shah. The Ayatollah is the religious leader, the Mullah, who pulls the strings behind the curtain. I'm sorry, but to me he is another blasphemist who has contorted the Koran to satanic verses. Nowhere in the Koran does it allow stoning of women, nowhere. Yet the stoning of women is one of the more savage and revealing aspects of the Mullahs' rule in Iran. Apparently this guy is so insecure that he needs to compensate for it by atrocities against the other gender. He does so under the guise of Islam. Of course, blasphemy is not isolated to the Ayatollah. You remember the dousing of Yusuf in Iraq? Or the gassing of girls in schools in Iraq and Afghanistan? Or the killing of innocent people, including Muslims, by Muslims? I reported about that, all of which is expressly prohibited by the Koran. Or think of the caning of people in Saudi Arabia who walked their dogs, all done under the flag of Islam. Ahmadinejad has attempted to explain away stoning in Iran as something that takes place only in remote and culturally backward areas. Actually, the responsibility for any inhumane punishment, including stoning of women, regardless of where it takes place, lies with the judiciary and the state. Indeed, stoning and other cruel punishments that take place in Iran is defined by the law, and the court-ordered stoning is based on that law. Does it surprise you that Switzerland prohibited building of minarets, or Belgium outlawed the burqa, followed by France, which is seriously considering outlawing it too and is about to vote on it? Think of terrorists cross-dressing. Coming to think of, what, if anything, is the International Criminal Court doing? It seems to be another of these useless UN institutions too afraid to act. But then, look who's talking. Our Supreme Court condones torture too. It refused to review a minimum of 10 torture cases, including the case of German national El-Masri, who was confused with somebody else. And just recently, the case of Canadian Mayor Arar, neither of which had anything to do with terrorism. Take care.